have thought it countless times that if I didn't have a YouTube channel basically dedicated to Tracy Anderson, there is no way I would be able to commit to the program. Knowing that there's few people that have YouTube channels dedicated to Tracy Anderson, I thought there's got to be other resources that are effective, that help people stay committed, stay motivated, stay in the game. That's what we're going to be covering today. But first, I want to apologize because last week I shared that I would be covering an online studio walkthrough for this week, but gotta tell you, it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it was timely. But for this week's video, I thought it would be very timely, very helpful, and very valuable to anyone following Tracy Anderson, whether you're in Metamorphosis or online studio or somewhere in between, that really identifying what you can do to help support yourself and staying committed is so paramount. If you do want some direction on online studio, feel free to DM me on Instagram. That's right, I now have an Instagram. It's Friend Down with Rachel. I also now have a Facebook and TikTok. That leads me to an important segue, something that I kind of covered on last week's video, and that's the importance of having a bullshit detector. I realized that I was resistant to having social media. I didn't want to be overwhelmed. I do have a personal social media that every now and then I will just delete from my phone because it can be a bit overwhelming. And I kind of created this rule for myself that I didn't want to have social media tied to this YouTube page because I didn't want to be overwhelmed. And I kind of used my bullshit detector to identify that really, yes, social media can be overwhelming, no doubt about it. But I can put systems in place to prevent that from happening. That was a belief system I had around social media, that if I had these social media accounts, I'd be tied to it and I'd constantly be on my phone. And at the end of the day, it's somewhat of an irrational belief because I do have choices. I don't have to have social media up and going all the time. I can respond when I choose to. It's all up to me. So I share that with you because you may be facing something in your own personal life, in your own world, where you're thinking, I don't want to do this certain thing because this effect is going to happen. And you have to be honest with yourself. You know, how rational is that belief? And are there systems in place that you can put that can help you overcome that resistance you have? This whole concept of identifying belief systems is something I learned through the book, The Rules of Normal Eating. I've mentioned this several times and it is kind of my beacon. I refer to this book often because it is so full of insight and helpful concepts that have helped me in more ways than one. And how glad I am that I worked through that irrational belief because it's led us up to today's video. Tapping into the Tracy Anderson community. That's right, the community. When I was able to create an Instagram page of my own and Facebook page and started exploring, I ended up finding these extraordinary resources. Here's the rundown. Let's start with Instagram. With Instagram, if you search Tracy Anderson method for those hashtags, you will surface many Instagram accounts devoted to Tracy Anderson method. So many Tracy Anderson method followers will actually create an Instagram devoted to their Tracy Anderson journey. They will follow other Tracy Anderson method tammers. They will post their workouts. They will comment on the stories that other tammers share, and it creates this sense of community. This is so important because we are social creatures, and with this workout, and it's individual, it's at home, you can be isolated. By tapping into this community, you may find yourself feeling more supported, more driven, more motivated, and more consistent. And by having an Instagram account that's committed to Tracy Anderson, you really don't have to worry about sharing it with people in your personal life or people that you may follow or follow you at work. It allows you to keep it personal and segmented to your Tracy Anderson journey. I'm convinced that this is what so many Tracy Anderson method followers are doing to stay in the game, because when you start your day and maybe you briefly check in on your Tracy Anderson method Instagram account, you'll see those Tracy Anderson followers that you follow, you'll see them starting the workout for the day. You'll see them doing their dance cardio. You'll see them sharing the before and after photos. And it is so encouraging. And then if you decide you want to post yourself a segment of your workout, they'll support you as well. So here's a call to action if you're struggling to stay consistent with Tracy Anderson method. 1, create an Instagram account, and if you'd like, make it just devoted to Tracy Anderson method. The benefit with that is you don't have to worry about people in your personal life seeing your workouts or maybe people that you work with. You can keep it absolutely separate and keep it devoted to Tracy Anderson. It's also nice because then you can rest assured that whomever you follow is likely in line with Tracy Anderson. It's also very easy to toggle back and forth from your personal Instagram account to this new Tracy Anderson account if you'd like to. I thought that I would have to log in and log out of those Instagram accounts. No. With Instagram, you're actually easily able to toggle back and forth to your profiles, and it keeps it very separate and very simple. In addition to creating that Instagram Tracy Anderson method account, be sure to follow other Tammers. How do you do that? How do you find them? Well, just search within Instagram for the hashtag Tracy Anderson method and you'll be sure to find plenty. Also, second call to action, be sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm now on Rundown with Rachel. I don't know how often I'll be posting, but I certainly will be, and I would love to follow you back. And of course, when you're following other Tammers, be sure to encourage them. Be sure to comment on their photos and their postings, and I'm sure they'll be encouraging you just the same. It's a very supportive community, which is why it's probably been so long-standing for years and years and years. And if you do feel comfortable with it, be sure to post yourself, whether that's your progress, whether that's your setbacks, whatever it is. Be sure to share your own journey so that you can then retrieve some of that encouragement as well. And another fun thing you can do is actually tag Tracy. Also tag that Tracy Anderson method hashtag. I would love it if you tagged me too. It's a great way to tap into that community, and you may be surprised that your Instagram account is featured on Tracy Anderson's Instagram account, which is a lot of fun. Another resource to help you tap into the Tracy Anderson community is Facebook, specifically Facebook groups. So you can just search Facebook by Tracy Anderson method, and again, you'll see other groups surface. I'll be sure to link some in the description box, but again, a great resource. It's more of a forum where people will ask all sorts of questions. Again, very beneficial. In line with that kind of Facebook group is the locker room that's available on the Tracy Anderson online studio. Now, if you're not within the trial version or you don't have a membership to Online Studio, you're not going to have access to the locker room. But I just mentioned that in the event that you do have Online Studio, but you haven't tapped into the locker room resource, that is an awesome forum where you can ask all sorts of questions, and there are plenty of Tammers who will happily respond and be so kind about it. The last resource I wanted to mention is on YouTube. So obviously you know me by now and that I've really created a lot of content that's devoted to the Tracy Anderson method, but there is another channel called AskTamily. And the structure of this channel is that they will post videos of interviews between Tracy Anderson followers and their experience, how they came across it, what the impact has been, you know, if they do dance cardio or not. There's all sorts of questions they ask. They are longer videos, but it's certainly worth checking out because you can learn all sorts of tips throughout those interviews. So I listed those resources. Do you have resources of your own that have helped you stay in the Tracy Anderson game? If so, please comment below. Just to recap what we covered in this video: 1, recognize what limiting beliefs you have and challenge them. Identify how you can overcome them. For years and years, I wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I had limiting beliefs around why I couldn't or shouldn't. And even still, limiting beliefs come up. My gosh, Rachel, what's going on? And I have to explore them, confront them, and ultimately debunk them. And I hope that's a major takeaway for you in this video. In addition, be sure to tap into the Tracy Anderson community. You can do that through Instagram, Facebook, the locker room if you have Online Studio, and then check out that channel, AskTamily. And with each and every video I create, I want to tell you how thankful I am that you're watching this. When you like the video, when you leave a comment, when you subscribe, it makes it so very worth it, and you encourage me to continue going. Because as you can imagine, does not take 5 minutes to put together, as much as it could look like that on certain weeks. But I want to thank you, and I hope you have a fantastic week. And with that, until next time.